Hey everybody, I'm Mikey Andersen, and this is Fantasy Avenue, where each week we talk about everything you need to know in the world of fantasy football. Another episode of Fantasy Avenue, but on a Saturday? Yep, this is what's happening right now. Welcome back to another episode of Fantasy Avenue. I'm Mikey Andersen, your host, and we have a Saturday episode. Yeah, that's on me, guys. Sorry to disappoint the folk who need their waiver wire pickups done early, who need their advice done before they set their lineups for Thursday night football. I'm sorry. Had a bit of a busy week, and with football practice, it's hard to get in. I can't lie. It's hard to get into the office. It's hard to find the motivation sometimes, but we're here. We did it. Once football's over, I'll be able to come in on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays. I'll have the whole week open for me to come in, and maybe I'll get a job. That'll be weird. Mikey having some money for the first time in his life. That'll be cool. So, I got some big plans as we wrap up the fall, get into winter time, get into it's supposed to snow. I live in Bozeman. It's supposed to snow in Bozeman, Montana for the first time this week, which is it's a pretty late snow. So, we're just changing seasons, and with that, we're kind of changing orders. And it's kind of like that first snow as the change of seasons happen. That's really weird. And then it gets warm again for a couple weeks before it snows again. This is what this Saturday episode is. This is a weird off episode before we hop into some more normal, before the seasons change, and we kind of change up our deal, and we kind of get more into a real groove, okay? So I want to say I'm sorry to everybody who's politely waiting for my episodes to come out, but we're here now. I want to start out with a few quick tidbits. Been talking to Coach J.P. Flynn. He's an avid listener of the podcast, and he was actually the one most disappointed in my Saturday episode timing. Something that I just learned. He's 2-4. Now it doesn't sound too good, now does it? Well, he's the top scorer in 2 straight weeks in the Gallatin High Football Coaches League. So he might be coming on strong now, maybe not. We'll see. I believe it's going to be a good year, and I would really like Gallatin coaches, listen up. Get on the podcast. I already talked about it with Flynn. Have a Flynn, Yates, Chandler, Denson, right? You guys, come on. It'll be fun, and I got a sneaky feeling that a Gallatin High coaches episode would do pretty well in the listen category. So come on and banter, come on and argue. Check out what it's like to be on a podcast. Yeah, it's kind of a newfangled thing we've got going here. Come on, I got a feeling it's going to be a good episode, so let's make that happen, coaches. Let's go. Some other, if any of you are out there listening to my podcast and you don't know how to pick up players, what are you doing? This is part 2 of my weekly tidbits. I'm talking to you, talking to you, Edie. I'm talking to you, Garrett. I'm talking to you, Ben. Do you guys pick up people? I mean, I had to text instructions, Edie. Come on. We got to do better than that. It's a 3-step process. Push on the player. Push add. Select the player that you want to be replaced with your new player. It's a 1, 2, 3. There you go. Oh, just grabbed him. Don't want this guy anymore. Let's have my new guy. All right. And that's literally it. It's the easiest thing in the world to add a player in fantasy football, and I find it a sorry excuse when people say they don't know how to do it. So we're gonna need some tidbits on that. If you guys have listened to the podcast, I give some waiver wire advice. Well, that is the point of the waiver wire advice, is players that you can pick up during the bye week, or not during the bye week, during the off week, right? The off part of the week, that you can grab, and by next game you'll have a set lineup. We know that we are only about truths here on the podcast, and truthfully, that's pretty disappointing. I can't lie to you, but it's okay because now you know. And now you know that I'm hopping right into the waiver wire segment. This is going to be a pretty fast episode. I don't want this episode to take too long. This episode is going to be short and sweet, and it's going to be something that you can find really useful. Hopefully you guys are listening to this on the Saturday it comes out for the Sunday, right? Nobody has time to listen to an hour-long podcast one day before the games play. Come on, Fantasy Avenue. We got to do better. I'm going to have to talk to the Fantasy Avenue manager about that, get me on my program a little more. But this episode is going to be a quick tidbit of advice. My number 1 ad for this week, Rashee Rice. I think his name is Rad. It's either it's Rashee Rice, I believe is how you pronounce it. Chiefs receiver ignoring Travis Kelce, he is now the number one receiver on their team in terms of weekly targets. He's a rookie. He's a very unknown guy, but he has a chance to be the number one receiver in the Chiefs. Like, in terms of dynasty leagues or in terms of leagues, this is just a guy. I mean, he's going to be a consistent, I think, wide receiver 3 or wide receiver 2 player finishing out the season. He's going to be a guy that you pair with somebody like Cooper Kupp as your number 2 receiver, right? But going into like next year, holy crap, dynasty leagues, get your hands on this guy. I believe in 1 or 2 years, depending on how Travis Kelce, Travis Kelce's not fading yet. I have him, my only dynasty league I'm in, I have Travis Kelce. And he's carried me to a couple wins already this season. So by no means am I saying Travis Kelce's falling off. But he's going to eventually. And when he does, Rashee Rice will be the number 1 receiver on one of the most prolific offenses in the NFL with the most prolific quarterback in the NFL in Patrick Mahomes. There's a ton of value there. So add this guy if you're short on receivers. It's kind of hard to be short on receivers, honestly, because there's so many good ones in the league. But if you are, add him. And keep your eye out in dynasty leagues. Get your hands on this guy. I think there's more value in somebody like Rashee Rice over a guy like I don't even know. I'm trying to think of who is it? Jacoby Myers, a guy who's scoring high points this year. I believe there's more in Rashee Rice. He's young and he's gonna be on an offense that will be good every single year. I have Jacoby Myers in a league. I think he's great. He was a draft gem because nobody saw his big season coming. But a young receiver on an offense that good it's basically like, imagine the Dolphins offense didn't even have Tyreek Hill. Imagine the level of value that Jalen Waddle would have. Okay, now imagine Jalen Waddle is unknown in the league and nobody really knows who he is. That's the kind of level Rashee Rice is on right now, so I love him. Other big pickups as we go on. Curtis Samuel has been doing pretty good. That's not who I was thinking. I was thinking Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk played on Thursday, so it's not going to happen this week. Hey, again, my fault, guys, my fault. But this guy is going to be a guy that's freaking legit. He's leading their team in target. I mean, Calvin Ridley has been so hyped, and he's just done nothing. With fall in the air, I like to think of Calvin Ridley as that Thanksgiving turkey. A big old 15-pound turkey. As a kid, right? I've always grown up with playing football in the yard, jumping on the trampoline while the parents make dinner. Oh, it's that turkey that all the parents are talking about. It is Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley is that turkey. There's other guys in the league that are just like that too. Kyle Pitts has been like that. Derrick Henry is a little bit like that at times. It's those guys. Aaron Rodgers, they are the Thanksgiving turkeys of this year, but not in a good way. They're the Thanksgiving turkeys that the dad has been talking about. The chef, the grill master has been talking about all day. Oh my God, this 15-pound turkey, basted to perfection. The parents can't stop going crazy. The uncle isn't even in the living room watching TV because he's too busy focused on the turkey. You sit down, you get a slice of that white meat. I'm a white meat fan, not a dark meat fan. That's purely based on my liking of the color. I'm a white meat fan, so I sit down with my cut white meat, right? Because holy crap, that looks so good. If I imagine the turkey, I see that white delicacy of a turkey slice, and I get it. I get a little cranberry sauce, and I go, home, and it's dry. It's the driest crap I've seen, dry to the bone. That's what Calvin Ridley is. You can't hype a turkey up more than the uncle does. More than my uncle would do, freaking Hunter Lacey, you are the grill master. You hype the turkeys. If the turkey's dry, it's one of the most disappointing things in the world. And Calvin Ridley is the dry turkey. Christian Kirk is taking all the targets on offense. The rest are being left to Evan Ingram, who is a good pickup at tight end if you can still manage to get him or trade for him, because I think he's legit. Tight end 4 at the end of the season is my prediction. I'll get to him in a second. Calvin Ridley has been such a disappointment, and Christian Kirk is a major thing. There's nothing more disappointing than a dry turkey. The only thing that saves it is that cranberry sauce. And let me tell you, Evan Ingram, is that even his name? Yeah, I think so. He's a Jags tight end. I'm not going to take a moment to look that up because I'm confident in my NFL knowledge. This guy is the cranberry sauce. This guy is the guy that kind of saves it. Scores about 10 points a week, It's consistent. That's all you need at a tight end spot if you don't have a big hitter. I believe my end of the season predictions for tight end rankings, this is me right now. Travis Kelce, number 1, bona fide. Sam Laporta, I think it's tough between Sam Laporta and TJ Hawkinson right now. For who do I think will stay consistent through the year and finish as the tight end 2? I think Mark Andrews is going to sneak in to the tight end 4 spot behind one of them two. And then rounding up the top 5, I believe we'll have Evan Ingram. So if you want a consistent tight end, he's your guy. There's some pickups for the week. There's some pickups. I have a couple more. I love the Bucs defense. I'm a defense by committee kind of guy. If I've talked about this on the podcast before, but I'm not a guy who drafts a good like a wow factor defense in his draft, especially not before I pick players. I mean that's insane. Like that's like waiting in the. That's like you're at a pool and there's a spot with warm water and you go to it. That's what's picking a defense in the early round is you're standing in the hot water in the lukewarm water on purpose. You know why the water's lukewarm. You know what that little kid just did. Get out of the lukewarm water. So I'm not drafting a defense early. Nah. What I'm doing is I'm going week by week. I find defenses that I like that are pretty good. They got to be top 15, really, against bad offenses. And they're going to score points. They're going to get, I look for bad offensive lines. I'm not, hey, Coach Flynn, I've gained some more respect for the offensive linemen. I really have. And I've been looking at, who is a good offensive line, who is a bad offensive line. That's what's let me, kind of dive more into the O-line. Is that mentality of seeing who's good and who's bad for my fantasy team. It's helped me appreciate the offensive line in general. So I like to look at the offenses. I like to pick the defenses. And my defense for this week, now if you have a great defense, if you have the 49ers, if you have the Browns, blah, blah, blah. Good. Browns. Yeah, I said the Browns. They're dang good this year at the defensive spot. As long as you don't have one of those guys, the Buccaneers defense, huge pickup. I can't remember. Let me look it up real quick. I hope the podcast is still going. I think it is. Yes, it is. I'm gonna look at Buccaneers, Falcons. Yep. An inconsistent young offense. The Buccaneers, I think, are gonna shut them down. The Buccaneers have had a lot of sacks in previous game, which is a big thing in fantasy points, because dropping you get a pick, you get 2 points. Ooh, big deal. You get 2 sacks, you get 2 points. A lot of teams can get 2 sacks in the game and can't get 2 picks. There's been games where the Bucs have had a lot of. There's been 9 sack games in the NFL, right? That's like the equivalent of 4.5 picks. Yeah, I'm in calculus. I can do 9 divided by 2. I'm tough like that. Anyway, I don't know if the Bucs have had 9 sacks this year in a game, but they've had a lot. And sacks are a really nice way to score fantasy points. So I really like the Bucs this week. I really like the Rams kicker. Can't remember who his name is. I do the same thing for kickers. See, I can't even remember who I picked up. I just know I picked up the Rams kicker because he's been scoring a lot of points. It might be Matt Gay. I don't know. It's not June. I don't know. So anyway, I go by committee, and I think it was the Rams kicker that I picked up this week. Not sure what his name is. But anyway, I love the Rams kicker. I love the Bucs defense. I love Evan Ingram. I love Alvin Kamara, but he already played. Alvin Kamara is a top necessity I'm trying to get in fantasy right now. I love the receivers that I already named. Can't remember. Oh, wait. Who was it? Can't remember my name. Oh, yeah. Christian Kirk. Quarterback, I've been feeling the young guns. And I'm also feeling Jared Goff because people just have a notion in their brain that Jared Goff can't play. And it's like, well, have you seen him throw the rock? Dude, it's a thing of beauty. It's the American eagle flying to the sky. I love it. Jared Goff is a nice quarterback. And finally, a little bit of life update right here. That's gonna end the waiver wire. A little bit of fancy life update. We're getting down and dirty with the trades. That sounded a little weird, but we're in the dirt. We're scrounging through the dirt for the diamonds. Is kind of what I meant by that saying. Not sure if I made that really clear enough. But anyway, we're in the dirt. We're looking for the rough, and I have a nice trade proposition that's looking like it might be coming my way. Been trying to make a trade with Brady, my soccer buddy. Hasn't been going too well. This is a whole different trade. I'm going a little bit of a tangent. Trying to get my hands on Jared Goff. We've been looking at Jared. I get Jared Goff and Jordan Addison. He gets Mike Evans and C.J. Stroud. Yeah, I don't love it. I feel like I need a teeny bit of an ad here. Mike Evans is pretty good. I think Jordan Addison's going to have a good rest of his year. But I don't know if C.J. Stroud is that much worse than Jared Goff. So that's going to be a little bit of a trade to think of. Hey, if you're listening to my podcast and you actually know something about football, tell me your opinion on that trade and whether I should take it right now or push for a little bit of an add-on, because I could take that right now or push for a little bit of an add-on. And Brady, I want an add-on. Brady, if you're listening, bro, you can't be greedy. There's two things in fantasy football that you can't be. You can't be greedy, and you can't have bad Wi-Fi, okay? Because otherwise you can't pick up players. And right now, I know you have good Wi-Fi. I know you do. But you're being greedy. Not cool. And my second trade I was going to talk about before I got on a little bit of a tangent. Now, this is a doozy. Oh, my gosh. I mean, it's in the Dynasty League. Big, big, big. I have real nice depth at receiver. A real nice depth. They're all kind of mid, but they start. Right now, my running back receiver situation is, we have 2 flexes, by the way. So out of running backs and receivers, we're basically starting 6 total every week because there's 2 running backs, 2 receivers, and 2 flex spots. My running backs, Josh Jacobs and blank, I'll get to blank in a second. Receivers have been a consistent rotation. Right now they're sitting at Devontae Adams, Christian Kirk, with in rotation Courtland Sutton and Brandon Ayuk. And it was Mike Williams. I also can throw in some other players. It's just a lot of, there's some Jerry Jeudy, but that's just, get out the window. This guy's he's not a Bronco. I don't want him. He is a Bronco, but too much of a diva. So my receivers are nice, and I can have rotations, and I can find running backs. Oh, jeez. Running backs gems. They can fill my spot, like Chuba Hubbard on the Panthers, who's kind of taken over the starting role. Yeah, that was my other running back, was Miles Sanders. That was one running backs to start the season, and he's just balls. He's complete balls. So I want him off my team, basically. Anyway, I'm also obviously in desperate need of a running back. My running back situation has been pretty faulty. Last week I started whatever it is, Ezrin Zerverjo, the Cardinals running back. Oof, got me 1.8 points. Yeah, I lost that matchup because Devontae Adams gave me 4, even though Devontae Adams is having a good season. Okay, whatever. It's my running back's fault. This week I'm starting Jeff Wilson, the Dolphins guy who's coming back and who looked like maybe would be the starter coming into this year before Raheem Mostert and Devin Achane just went insane. So my running back situation is just meh, right? And I want y'all to think of, what is better, Josh Jacobs and blank running back, Devontae Adams and Curtis Samuel? No, not Curtis Samuel. And Christian Kirk. Why do I keep calling him Curtis Samuel? Golly. So what is that, right? Right. I have a great receiver and a good receiver, a good running back and just a blank space, baby. And I'll write your name. A little bit of Taylor Swift lyrics there. Whoa. Yeah, you guys saw that. Or what's better, if I make this blockbuster trade, I trade Devontae Adams and a pick in next round's draft, because this is Dynasty, big deal. First or second rounder. I get Austin Eckler and Terry McLaurin. Dude, I can't even lie to you. I feel like I'm getting a good deal. I feel like I'm fleecing a little bit. Dude, I really want this deal, and I know that Devontae Adams and Austin Eckler, neither of them are having great years, and it's kind of like a old head for old head type of deal. Is Terry McLaurin worth a first-round pick? I don't know, but maybe I'm not. Okay, I want to take back my statement about fleecing. I don't think I'm. If you guys don't know what that means, I'm sorry, I can't help you. Look it up. You gotta know. It's like robbing. I'm robbing. Okay, you guys gotta know that. Maybe I'm not fleecing because I don't really think the guy I'm trading with. I cannot remember. Jo Forsworth, as I think, or something like that is his username. I don't even know. Sorry, bro. Don't know him. No Joe Livers though. Let's go. Go Eagles, or something like that. Anyway, I don't think I'm fleecing him because I don't think he's necessarily getting a worse end of the deal. It's just I'm really improving. I don't need Devontae Adams. I have receivers. There's more value, in my opinion, starting Josh Jacobs and Austin Eckler with them receivers being Christian Kirk, Courtland Sutton, and then working my flex, right? Or Christian Kirk, Brandon Ayuk, and working around with my flex to find running backs or receivers that I can combine, versus right now starting Josh Jacobs, right? So I have a good running back, great receiver, good receiver, and I'm going to great running back, good receiver, good receiver, and then I can fill in with my flex. I have depth of receiver. I just need a consistent week-to-week starting running back, and Austin Eckler's going to be that dude. And in a dynasty league, I think Austin Eckler and Devontae Adams are both losing a little value. They're both kind of getting up there in age. But Austin Eckler's a little bit younger, so give it to me. I'm just come back next week. The trade's going to be done. We're going to be super pumped in the Fantasy Avenue building. I'm going to be celebrating in this empty room by myself. Hopefully not. Finn, get on the podcast, dude. Talk about it to you every day. I don't want you to think I'm blowing you off, because I'm not. Once football ends, you're definitely getting in, and maybe sooner, because then our schedules will open up. Okay. Colden, we need you on here. We need to talk about that crazy draft situation we had last week. Had a fun little draft. It involved the wheel. It involved the wheel spinning for teams. That's all you get to know. That's all you get to know until Colden's episode. So anyway, I was saying I was going to be sad and alone, blah, 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 in the podcast room. I don't think I will be. I think I can do it. I think I'm going to get a guest. That's kind of the trade segment. That's kind of somehow I talked for 20 minutes. I don't even know what I've talked about. I feel like I've said like 6 players, and they're all no, I've said more than that. I'm capping with you. But I feel like I've given the advice I need to give, and I get out, and maybe I don't do the top players from last week, considering it's almost next week. And I feel like it's a little bit too late. Like, who the frick cares, bro? That's kind of how I'm feeling as I'm looking at myself in the mirror right now. That jawline's popping, though. Oh, gosh. As I'm looking at myself in the mirror, I'm thinking, maybe people don't really care about that right now, considering the podcast is a little bit late. So that might be the episode, folks. I have some really good guests we need to get in the podcast room. I have some, I've shouted out my friends. I've shouted out the coaches. That coaches league, I would love to see what's going on. I love to see a Coach Chandler Raiders and a Coach Yates Broncos matchup in fantasy. Like, set aside the Broncos-Raiders rivalry and just show me the fantasy games, because I can imagine that gets heated. With how those two interact on, like, when it comes to ping pong. I can imagine how they'd interact with fantasy football. That's going to be crazy. We're going to get everybody in the podcast room. It's going to be hype. I hope I helped this week a little bit. You kind of know what to do. I'm actually going to a play with my mom here in about 3 hours. Yeah, because I'm a family man, okay? And if my mom says, let's go to a play, and I say, yes, Mom, of course, because I love you. So I'm going to a play. I'm going to upload this podcast. Going to go eat some sushi. Going to go watch I don't even know what it is, the Nutcracker. Seems a little early for the Nutcracker. And then I'm going to hang out with some pals. That's my week. Hope you guys have a good week. Hope you have fun watching football tomorrow. Thank God you're going to be watching the Broncos take a W. That was a funny joke. And I'll see y'all next week. All right. Thanks for stopping in. Peace.